Okay, so for today's warm up, in one or two sentences, write your response to the following question in the chat. Remember to use correct spelling, grammar, punctuation, and capitalization. Describe your relationship with your siblings or family. Describe your relationship with your siblings or family. And remember to use your first and last name, be on mute, and have your video turned on for attendance and engagement purposes. Today's daily agenda is our attendance and warm-up. We're going to read Tangerine and complete our springboard on page 176. Our objective is to identify characterization in the novel Tangerine and analyze the character's choices and the consequences of those choices. Today, you'll need both your Tangerine book and your springboard book. Your reading expectations today is that you have your book, you follow along on the correct page, meaning it's open, you're quiet, you stay seated, and you keep your camera on. As you read, I want you to think about what specific details about the characterization seem most important and what character traits are being shown. And then go ahead and turn to page 70, which is Saturday, September 9th. Okay, make sure you are on page 70 for the chapter called Saturday, September 9th, on page 70.
Life goes on, all right. When I came downstairs for breakfast, Mom and Dad were arguing. Mom was sitting on a stool at the kitchen counter. Dad and Eric were standing in the doorway, ready to exit. Eric was letting Dad do all the talking. Look, there's nothing wrong with me taking Eric to practice this morning. Mom clearly did not agree. You don't schedule a football practice on the morning of your team captain's funeral. It's a private funeral. We were not invited to attend that funeral. That's not the point. You should show respect for the family by canceling practice on the morning of the funeral. Dad had heard enough. Well, Coach Warner did not think that was appropriate, so he didn't do it. The season begins in 1 week, and we need to get out there. You need to get out there? That's right. Every team in this county is practicing this morning, and so are we. And while we're at it, Coach Warner did not schedule this practice on the morning of the funeral. These weekend practices have been scheduled all along. It's not fair for you to say that the coach doesn't care about his players, or that he doesn't care about Mike Costello just because he continues to do his job. Mom didn't reply. So Dad and Eric completed their exit. Mom's final word on the subject was to me. Coach Warner cares so much about his players that he pushes them out into the lightning every day. Joey called at 2:30. Mom answered the phone. She offered to drive us, so Joey showed up at our door at 2:45. Mom asked him how the services went. He said, "Fine." And that was that. We didn't talk about it again. Life went on. We got into Mom's car and drove to the carnival. I was curious to finally see the town of Tangerine. In the time we've lived here, we've driven in every direction but this one. We've gone west to the supermarket, south to the mall, north to the schools, but never east to the town. As we headed up Route 89, Joey said, "My dad told me that this all used to be tangerine groves, as far as the eye could see. It was the tangerine capital of the world." Mom turned off the highway at Route 22 and drove east through the citrus groves. The air was filled with a remarkable scent. Joey said, "What is that smell? That's gross." I said, "You're crazy. I love that smell. That's the citrus. Something is in bloom now, huh, Mom?" Mom said, "I don't know, honey." We drove for another mile. We passed a cluster of lime green houses made out of cement block. I said, "Check out that color, Mom. You'd better notify the architectural committee." Mom was not amused. "This isn't a development, Paul." "Then how come the houses are all the same color?" Mom thought about that and replied, "Maybe you're right. Maybe this is some kind of early development. Maybe the owners of the packing plant built those houses for their workers." "The migrant workers?" "No, I don't think so. The migrant workers would come and pick fruit for a few weeks and then move on. But there must have been permanent workers, citrus packers who lived here year-round. Like Joey was saying, this used to be the tangerine capital of the world. Now the tangerine industry is dead. Look, over there. That's the old packing plant." It was strange to see an old packing plant, to see an old anything. But it was also comforting to hear that something around here has a history, that something actually belongs here. It makes sense. I can see how it worked. The citrus packers walked from those lime green cement block houses into that packing plant, that huge and magnificent structure. It must have been built, red brick by red brick, to be the most magnificent building the workers had ever seen, like a European cathedral. So why did it stop working? When did it all go wrong? Whose fault was it? Maybe the people from the lime green houses just got tired of walking into this building every morning. Maybe they stopped seeing how magnificent it was, and now it's gone. It's all over. Someplace else is now the tangerine capital of the world. We didn't see much else of the town, because suddenly, right in front of us, were the rides and tents of the carnival. Low rent was a compliment for this thing. It was set up in a big field of dirt, next to a sign that read, "Tangerine Flea Market every Sunday." Mom dropped us off in the parking lot, which was another field of dirt across the road. She said, "Are you boys sure you want to get out here?" "Yeah," Joey laughed. Maybe he thought Mom was kidding. Mom sighed. "Okay, when do you want to be picked up?" "I don't know. Joey, what do you say, 7 o'clock?" Joey thought about it. "Yeah, that's cool." Mom called. "All right, I'll see you two right here, on this spot, at 7 o'clock. Be careful." "We will, Mom. Bye." As we waited to cross the busy road, Joey handed me a discount ticket and said, "They're from Coach Walski." Just outside the entranceway, I saw a group of guys with a soccer ball. They were good. 3 of them were doing the juggling bit with the ball, like Tommy Acoso does, but they were passing it back and forth, too. I stopped to watch for a minute, and a kid called over to me. "Hey, give me one of those tickets." "I only got one," I said. "Yeah? So I only need one. Hand it over." Joey grabbed my elbow and hustled me away. "Come on, man. Don't mess around with those guys. They're from Tangerine Middle." "So? Don't talk to them and don't look at them." We handed over our tickets and passed through a turnstile. They have gangs in Tangerine Middle School. They have kids with guns, man. Real gangstas. Some of them have AK-47s. No way. Hey, don't believe me. Just don't mess with them, 'cause I ain't bailing you out. We walked quickly past the octopus and another ride that looked like a swinging axe pendulum. Joey called out, "There they are. There's Kara and Carrie and the guys." I was thrilled. I had been secretly hoping this would happen. Kara came up and put her arm around Joey right away. Unfortunately, nobody, Carrie included, paid much attention to me. The 3 guys, who I sort of knew from classes and lunch, were all talking about going to a freak show in the back of the carnival. Kara and Carrie were saying things like, "Oh, gross," and "No way." Everybody was disappointed when we actually got inside the freak show, called Wonders of the World. Everybody except me. I was really fascinated as I prowled through the dark, partitioned rooms of the exhibits. They were mostly photos, but there were some wax statues, too. The exhibits had names like the Woman with a Third Eye, the Buffalo Man, and the Frozen Fräulein. I lost the rest of the group when I stopped to read about the boy who never grew. According to the sign, this boy stopped growing at the age of 5, but he went on to live to the age of 89. And although he was studied by the top doctors in Europe, he remains a mystery to this day. No one ever discovered what happened to him to cause this strange affliction. I peered into the eyes in the photo for a long, long time. When I came out of Wonders of the World, blinking in the sun, my classmates were all gone. The guys who I had seen at the entrance with a soccer ball were there, waiting to go in. They were too busy karate kicking at each other to notice me. I turned left and headed toward the big double Ferris wheel. I watched it being loaded, seat by seat. The wheel rotated up, and I saw Kara and Joey close together on a seat. It rotated again, and I saw Carrie. She was sitting with one of the guys from the group, a guy named Adam, a guy who doesn't wear glasses, and who knows how to talk. I spun around and walked the other way, eventually stopping at a snow cone place. After about half an hour by myself, I caught up with the group again. No one had noticed that I was gone. Carrie wound up going on the Caterpillar with Adam, too. I didn't go on any rides. 7 o'clock finally came. I went and stood at the entrance. I could see that Mom was already parked in the lot. Joey kept me waiting for 10 minutes, then ran up and said, "You ready?" "Yeah, I've been ready." We crossed the road and climbed into the air-conditioned car. Mom cried out, "Look at that!" We looked, and we saw the gang of soccer kids from Tangerine Middle all climbing into the back of a light green classic Ford pickup truck. "Yeah, cool truck," Joey and I said, almost at the same time. No, Mom continued. "Look at the truck and tell me what's wrong with this picture." We looked again, and I noticed the words Tomas Cruz Groves, Tangerine, Florida, written on the door. "Do you mean that they spelled Thomas wrong?" "Honestly, Paul," she snapped, "can't you be serious when I ask you a question?" "But I am being serious." Mom pointed at the pile of kids who were now riding toward the exit. "Seat belts! They're not wearing any seat belts. Not one of them. And how could they? They're all bouncing around in the back of that truck like a bunch of golden retrievers." "Well, that's up to them, right?" "No, that is not up to them. That is against the law. One good bump and they'll all break their necks. Why do we bother passing safety laws? People will still throw 6 kids into the back of a truck and then drive them out onto the highway." Mom drove in silence all the way home, angry about the driver of the pickup truck. It doesn't take much these days to make her angry. I was feeling pretty miserable myself, about Carrie Gardner, about soccer, about my whole life here. I remembered the face of the boy who never grew, the face of that 89-year-old little boy. I remembered the fear in his eyes. I know that fear. It's my fear. They may as well stick me in there next to him. A picture came to me. Nasty, yet satisfying. I could stop trying to be what everyone else is and accept being a freak. They could open a new exhibit, starring me, a modern exhibit called The Children Who Wouldn't Listen. Stomach cramps boy, who went swimming right after lunch. Refrigerator door boy, sealed forever to stay fresh. And eclipse boy, studied by the greatest doctors in Europe, but still a mystery to this day.
And that's the end of the chapter, Saturday, September 9th. Now make sure you open up your double entry journal in Otis Assessments for Tangerine Part 1. Copy an exact sentence from the chapter that we read today for Saturday, September 9th. Put the page number and pick one of the commentaries. You may want to have this up as we're reading as well if you find an important quote, so that you can do it at the same time that you read. And the last thing that we're going to do today is in our Springboard books on page 176, let's take a look at family relationships and brotherhood. Family relationships and brotherhood are a motif. A motif is a recurring element in the text. So you're going to see this again and again. And in your own words, you're going to fill in the graphic organizer about the relationship that the brothers have. How would you characterize the relationship? Try to have 2 notes in each box. I want you to think about how the relationship that Joey and Mike had compares to the one that Paul and Eric have. And if you need help, there's some specific examples in the chapters from September 5th and 6th, pages 50 to 55. You're going to be completing this on your own today, and you're going to show me your completed work in the beginning of the class tomorrow. If you do not finish this during our class period today, you can work on this during your independent work time from 1:53 to 3:14. But I'll just have you hold up your page to show me that you completed this at the beginning of the class tomorrow.